welcome back to another episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm so glad you're joining me. I am Bess Hawthorne, and today I have two very special guests with me, Pat and Jackie Dira. They are owners of Mission Strength, the gym here in Moscow, Idaho, and have been here for how many years? About 3?
3 years.
3 years. Mm-hmm. So welcome, Pat and Jackie.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
There's lots to tell about yourselves. So I'm going to let you tell me a little bit more than I've mentioned. I know, Pat, you are originally from Ohio, and you're from California, and somewhere in there you met, and sparks flew. So tell me just a little bit about your past.
We met in Port Hueneme. That's where I grew up. It's a few hours south of San Diego, and my dad was in the Navy, and then Pat was in the Navy. He got stationed at the base that I lived by, and we kind of met through church. I went to a church that had a college and career group, and we had a retreat one weekend, and a friend of mine that was going to our church brought Pat, and that's how we met. And then we didn't actually like each other.
We did not love at first sight.
We did not hit it off. And then it was funny, 3 years later, I saw him again for the first time since that weekend.
Really?
And yeah, the same friend, we went out to eat after church, and he brought Pat, and I remembered him from the retreat and how I was rude. And when I sat next to him and we talked, and we started talking, and just the entire night, there were like 15 of us out for dinner, and it was just me and Pat talking the whole time. And the next day he called me to hang out, and we were married 4 months later.
Yeah.
I guess you quickly realized the error of your ways.
Yeah, during that time too, I was getting ready to be transferred. I was going to a new program, and I was training for that and getting ready to move away. So it was kind of not necessarily looking to be in a relationship or start anything, but I guess it was meant to be.
So you had been in the Navy for 4 years, and then you you re-enlisted, is that correct? For another 4 years?
Yeah, I joined right out of high school. I joined at 18. Like you said, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I was just looking to join the Navy to just the adventure, just wanted to get out on my own, do my own thing, get away from Ohio, my hometown. Yeah, I did the 4 or 5 years. I was planning to get out, and then I heard about this special program. They were like doing fast boats, cool stuff, and I had never heard of it before. So I had actually processed out of the Navy. I was enrolled in college. I was not all the way out. I was like using some of my vacation, and then heard about this program, and I was like, oh man, that sounds awesome. So I go back into the recruiter or back to my command. I was like, yeah, I kind of heard about this new SWIC thing, this boat thing. I probably can't do it, but if I could, I'd like to give it a shot. And so it was this fast. He's just like, makes a call. He's like, all right, well, if you sign up now, you're in regardless, you're in for another 5 years. Like if you don't make it. And I'm like thinking about it, and I was like, all right, let's do it. And it was just like that. And then we met just like a couple of weeks after that. So it was kind of a whirlwind.
So you were married at the same time you were heading into this new program.
Right. So I was just focused on that, training on this selection and all the physical things. And
wow.
So it was kind of a wild time.
So you learned how to drive these special boats and stayed in for 5 more years.
Well, stayed in for 15 more after that.
15 more years.
Yeah. So the initial commitment was 5, but then I finished it out. Did 20 years.
Wow. And currently you are not in the Navy, but you still work as a trainer?
Yeah, I do some contracting with the SEAL Officer Selection Program. These are like college kids that are in ROTC that want to be Navy SEALs, and they have to get down selected because they want like the best of those guys to go to the initial training. So they run some training in the summer, and I help out with that.
Yeah. So before joining the special boat teams, didn't you work with SEAL Team 6 and were in that group just kind of seeing what it took to be a
that
Navy
was
SEAL?
kind of, I didn't even know anything really. I mean, you kind of hear about it from the movies, but I was on a deployment in my first job I did construction. I was a Navy Seabee, and I was in Afghanistan, and I was supporting these guys, and they're all like, it's like, who are you guys? They're all these like big bearded guys and just like going out on missions. And so that was my first exposure to that world in the military.
But being able to be in that elite group and seeing what it took probably helped you later too as a trainer to see, okay, these are the qualifications I'm looking for.
Right.
So speaking of exercise, they do own Mission Strength, and it's a gym here in Moscow. Tell me how it's different from other gyms. Like, how would you say your gym is different than, I don't know, just
any of them? Yeah.
Any of the gyms. And, I'm thinking some of where I came from, there's a lot of these corner gyms that you can go 24-hour access, and they have a lot of machines, and which is fabulous. Some people love that, and that works for them. But how is yours different? When I walk into your gym, I don't see like a circuit of machines.
Yeah. Well, what we're trying to train is things that you see outside of the gym. So, sometimes the machines and those is just like focusing on a certain movement, certain muscle, where at our gym, we're using sandbags, doing things that you're going to see outside of the gym. So that's the kind of the way we program. So it's not just to look better, to get the muscles looking better, or to lose weight. Like for a temporary thing, it's more to feel better doing the things you're going to do outside of the gym, picking up kids, shoveling snow.
It's very functional exercise.
Very functional. So, and there are gyms that do that kind of thing too, but that's, and we're more long-term too. I think a lot of gyms are like, be your best in 3 months, get ready for summer, get ready where we're trying to.
You're trying to look at long-term health and just fitness in general.
Right.
So my listeners are probably wondering, how does this apply to hospitality? I thought this was a podcast on hospitality. This episode is going to air in January, and a lot of people at the new year are looking at New Year's resolutions, so to speak. Whether you actually do a resolution or not, a lot of us are thinking about new beginnings and how do we, whatever it is, redecorate our house or start eating better, healthier, or maybe pick up some exercise. And so when I was thinking about interviewing the Deras, I just had that thought, hospitality requires a lot of energy. There's a lot of hard work involved. I mean, that's just the fact of it. You are serving others. You are giving to others. It is a gift of love when you are inviting people into your home or even just having hospitality for your family. It's a lot of hard work. And improving your health physically, staying strong physically is a part of that. And a lot of moms, or just ladies in general, they go, 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 go. That's who listens to my podcast probably the most. They go, 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 and think that they're active, think that they move a lot. I mean, maybe I'm just speaking from experience. I thought I was active and moved a lot. But it's not really true exercise. It's not really cardio. You're not really raising your heart rate to a certain amount in order to get your heart stronger. And it's not really strengthening either. Lifting a pot is not that heavy. It could be sometimes, but you're not doing, 20 reps.
Maybe.
Maybe you should. Up, down, up, down, up, down. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about that before jumping into their style of hospitality and some fun recipes and favorite kitchen items. We will jump into that, but we're going to talk a little bit about why is this important? Why do you need to make time for this? So Jackie, what are your thoughts on that? We together have started, Pat did start at the gym. He started a beginner's class, which when I saw the ad for it, I was like, well, I might could try that and not be embarrassed, because whatever term you throw out there, I might have heard of it because my kids, my teens, when they were all at home, did do exercise and went to the gym with their friends and, had sports and that sort of thing. But if you asked me how to do it in the right form, absolutely not. I don't know any of it. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this beginner class and not be completely embarrassed. And thankfully, Jackie showed up too, which she knows a lot more than I do. But what are your thoughts on that? Why did you go to the beginner class?
Oh, well, it's funny because before Pat opened the gym, I actually never worked out. I was like what you were talking about. I thought I was active enough with just housework and all of those sorts of things. And I just started going to Pat's gym because I was like, well, my husband opened a gym. It's a good thing to do, to be a part of it. It's pretty incredible how it has helped me with things that I didn't even realize I needed help with. Like I'd always had weird back pain. when I first started going to the gym, it got worse. And I told Pat about it, and he's like, it's because your body has been making up for weaknesses all these years. And now you're actually having to use whatever muscle, and it's getting stronger. And now it's very rare that specific back pain happens, which is super helpful when you're working and you're doing stuff all the time. I'm not getting hurt or having to sit down or stop what I'm doing as much because I'm more fit, more ready to do the everyday work that I have around the house. I think that's a super huge deal. I've noticed the more energy that people talk about and all the things that people say are benefits of working out that I was always like, well,
I don't have time.
I don't have the time.
I know. That's something I often said. So what would you say to people that would say, I don't really have the time. I'm way too busy. I'm a mom with 5 kids. I don't have time to exercise.
Yeah, well, first to that, it doesn't take as much time as a lot of people think. It's more important to be consistent and like shorter workouts, shorter time. It doesn't have to be super hard. You don't have to be just like laying on the floor at the end of the workout, but maintaining some consistency with some resistance training, getting your heart rate up a little bit. And then especially when you're starting out is to just get the habit going, even if it's just like 10 minutes. Everybody has at least 10 minutes and you could do something to move regularly. And then once your body is used to doing it regularly, then, you can add a little bit. But the energy thing, I hear that a lot too. Like people will be like, I feel like I don't have the energy. Like I'm working 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, and I'm just exhausted at the end of the day. But what happens is, it's interesting, is when you start getting your heart rate up a little bit, start moving a little bit, you actually have more energy. Like I hear that a lot from the guys that are like super busy. They have full plates, but when they don't work out, they have, less energy than they did before they started exercising. You just
drag through your day or the rest of your day. Let's say you work, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't have time for exercise. You kind of drag through the end of that day when you could have had a lot more energy, accomplished more, felt better, that sort of thing. And maybe gotten everything done that you needed to because you could accomplish it faster, which makes more time, a little bit of time for exercise. Like if you just make time for it.
Right.
So my encouragement to people would be to just do something. I have a sister in Arkansas, Esther. She says, I just walk out the front door and start walking down the road. She walks every day. She just makes herself, rain or shine, cold or hot. She just, in the winter, she'll put on heavy pants or snow pants or a heavy coat and just start walking because it's something that she knows she has to do in order to maintain just energy levels and fitness. And so that works for her. She does a little bit of stretching before and after. She loves that time to listen to audiobooks or podcasts or even just the silence. You're busy, lots of kids in the house. Sometimes just the silence and peace is nice. Where she also uses it as a time to pray. Another sister, Lydia, she walks with a neighbor, got to know her better because they started walking together. My other sister, Ruth, walks with a friend. So something like that, just starting off simple, take a short walk. Or, Jackie and I started a beginner's class. I would highly recommend that. Not everyone that listens to this podcast lives in Moscow and has the opportunity for Mission Strength. It is a fabulous place to go. And the class is very geared towards beginners. So I think a lot of times people stay away from things like that when they think that I'm not going to be as good as everybody else. Like I almost have to be fit before I can go get fit, which makes no sense. So I think that's really fun to have a gym that does have that level, like a beginner level where you can go and really be green.
It's funny when Pat Joe opened the gym, I used to go to the ladies class, and the night before I couldn't sleep because I was so nervous about going and working out with other ladies that probably knew how to work out. I had no idea. Yeah. So it's totally understandable.
That was me as well. I think that when you think about exercise, you have to know yourself and what is it that you will actually accomplish. I think another thing that prevents people from being consistent with it, which you just said, consistency is the key. Another thing that really keeps people from being consistent is they tell themselves something that's really not true. Like, oh, I'll do it at home. I'll start a video. Well, when you are exhausted at the end of the day, do you really start that video? Do you really work out by yourself? And so maybe you do. I mean, I do have a friend who's a runner. I mean, every day on her own, she is out there doing her run and she's very dedicated and consistent. That's not me. It's not me at all. I signed up for the beginner class at a gym because I knew I needed accountability. Yeah. I knew that if I signed up and paid money and people were expecting me to show up, I would do it. I had told myself for a very long time before that I would press play on a video, and I never did. I came in from teaching second grade all cold and tired and wanted to just get in comfy clothes and, not pick up weights.
There's something to that of just, I don't have to think about, you don't have all the things going through your head of like, oh, I have this plan that I got to do. I got the workout video to put on. I got to get set up. Like when you're going to a gym and somebody's going to tell you what to do, all you have to do is drive there and walk in the door.
and that's the hardest part.
Right.
My sister Ruth always says that. She says the hardest part is walking in the door. And it's true. If you can just drive there and make yourself go. And once you get in there, you're fine. You have people to do it with, and it's fun, and you're laughing, and you're challenging yourself, and exercise makes you feel so much better and more energized. It really does.
Right.
So whatever you choose, I would highly recommend picking something that's fun, rewarding, and meaningful. So it's fun for me, everybody's different. Some people have a lot of fun playing pickleball with their friends or tennis with their friends or going on a jog by themselves. But for me, it is a group of people. And also, it's rewarding because you see the progress you're making. Some people set goals for themselves and have a reward at the end. If I reach a certain goal, then whatever. Yeah.
And then I would add too, I think it's important for people to not think about how hard it's going to be. Like, I'm going to go to this mission strength gym and I'm just going to get destroyed. You need to think of it in the easiest terms possible. Like, and I'll do that sometimes too. If my body's a little sore, I'm a little tired, I'll be like, I'm just going to go in, get on a rower, go really easy, do the warm up, and we'll kind of see where it goes. And that's enough to just mentally, I'm not overwhelmed with like, oh, this is going to be a thing. I can just start. And then when you're with the other people, you start feeling a little better, and then you end up surprising yourself.
Well, and like you said earlier, if you look at it as a long-term goal of just being physically healthy, you don't have to say, in a month, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Or I'm going to go from having not exercised for years to being super fit in a month.
Right.
If you look at it as a long-term goal for life to just be healthier so that you can have better energy and strength to serve your family, pick up grandkids, just long-term, this is something that I want to do so I can have more and give more, I think is a lot better attitude than what we do a lot of times is these unrealistic goals that we then feel guilty because we don't reach them and we quit.
And it takes the pressure off of that day, that workout, because I'm doing this today so that I could do it 10 years from now too. It's it's a long-term thing. Yeah, it's good.
There's so many research studies. I mean, countless research studies on the benefits of exercise. So we've talked about some of them. Would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I try not to get too on the research side of things. I think a lot of it is common sense approach. Like, I think our modern lifestyles, we just aren't as active as we used to be. Like, not that long ago, people weren't gyms. People just had to be active just for life, and that's what our bodies are meant to do. So I look at it more like we're just trying to make up the difference to do what we were designed to do. A lot of the research just comes from we're just not as active. We don't need to work for our food. We don't have to be in the fields. We don't have to farm. We don't have to cut down wood. We don't have to go hunting. We can just, and a lot of that
is
is
to a grocery store,
right,
or we have office jobs, or we sit at a computer to do things. It's a lot more sedentary for some people.
Right. And a lot of that's good. We don't have to stress about those kind of things, but our bodies haven't really figured out how to, do well with not being active.
They still need some kind of, some kind of active lifestyle.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, all the research it helps with sleep, stress, activity, or our energy levels, just everything.
Yeah.
It literally improves everything.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically am thinking about this in the winter months. For me, wintertime in the Northwest is a bit of a struggle. It has been the last couple of years. And so for me, coming into my third winter here, especially when I saw the advertisement for the class, I was like, I really need to do something to make this be a little bit better winter experience.
Yeah.
And I knew the hardest part would be walking in the door, just making myself go. So I just on a really quick before I change my mind, I'm going to sign up. But it is so true. Just in hindsight, I guess, I don't know, it's been like 9 weeks or something now.
Yeah.
Yes, all of that's true. Everything you said is true, that I do have more energy. I'm sleeping well, but it also has helped with, I don't know if I have stress so much as more of just kind of that sad mood from just, it's dark really early and it's cold and there's no sunshine. And with exercise, your body naturally releases endorphins, which help you feel energized and happy and reduces stress. And so you walk in the door, do this really hard exercise, and you walk out feeling great, which doesn't make sense to our minds. Like, how is this true?
Yeah.
And then I feel great the whole week and the dark's not bothering me. And so there's so much research out there that says not only does it improve our health physically, but mentally as well.
Right.
And so I really, really, really would encourage people, especially in the wintertime, if you are struggling with just any of that, exercise can help. It really can. If you're struggling with any kind of just feeling,
One of the things that really helps me too is, some days it's like hard to get accomplish things, get something actually done. You might be working on for me, like some house project or work project, and you're making progress, but you're not finishing any of them. But when I do a workout, it's like, I finished that thing. It gives me that sense of like, I got something good done in the day. And it's a good feeling for me. Like every day, it just gives me that little, at least that got done.
What types of exercise would you recommend? Would you recommend, I know you said if you even have 10 minutes, just start. But in general, if someone was going to start something consistent, what type of exercise would you recommend and how would you vary it?
Yeah, well, everybody's a little different. And, one of the things we do a lot at the gym is modify for what people can do. Like everybody can't do pull-ups, right? I think body weight exercises are a great place to start. Push-ups, air squats, burpees, a little bit of not everybody has a rower, but some walking or some running, some light calisthenics. But I think a good mix of different speeds and different times is good. So the way, I like to kind of go through the week is you have a day where it's mostly functional movements, where it's a little bit of a slower pace, like you're doing yard work or you're doing something like on that scale where it's not like we're doing just lifting weights or sets of 10 or like a normal workout kind of thing. It's more of just like going through a circuit, picking up sandbags and doing more functional moves. And then I'll have a day where it's like shorter and faster. We have to go a little bit with some more speed. It's a little shorter. And then I like a longer, slower day too. So I think for most of the people at the gym and what I like and what a lot of people like is to just have some variety. But everybody's a little bit different. Some people like you were saying, your sister, she just likes to walk every day. They like that same program and sticking with it. But I think it's kind of hard to answer because everybody's a little bit different in what they like and what they want to do.
Some people want variety.
Right. And some people don't want to do as much cardio. They don't want to do any running or...
Some people want to do all weightlifting.
Cardio.
Yeah. It's like, well, you need
and
balance.
I don't think that's necessarily wrong.
Honestly,
so it's not a one size fits all.
Sometimes when you're doing weightlifting, you're getting cardio.
For sure.
I mean, you can really be having that heart rate up.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of weightlifting, it's very important for ladies thinking about osteoporosis later in life. If you are not doing strengthening for your bones, if you're not doing weight-bearing exercises, you have a lot higher risk of osteoporosis. There's so much that can be prevented with exercise as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's important for men too. I don't know. I've just heard that a lot with women, how important it is to maintain strengthening, because you only have there's a window that closes. There's a window of the times that you can strengthen your bones and keep that osteoporosis at bay.
Yeah, and especially as we get older too, and we have a lot of people that are over 40 in the gym. Like as if you're not putting some weight on your muscles and your bones, you're starting to lose some of that density, some of that muscle mass, and it's hard to get it back. You get more brittle. You just start losing some of that strength that you have. And then as you get much older, that's when you're more at risk if you fall, or if you're shoveling snow, you throw something at it becomes harder to do the things you need to do. So I think a good balance of resistance training, some of your base lifts like back squat, and I think it's good. Do some type of squat with the legs, push something away from you, push something over top of you, and then some kind of pulling exercise for resistance, and then mix in some of the functional movements and some higher heart rate things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always do the jumping exercises because my mom has osteoporosis, and I always knew that was a risk for me. So whenever, even though it's really embarrassing to be the worst, any like jump roping or jumping on boxes, I'm always like, I can jump, which is really good. So I'm going to do it.
I can't jump.
but you know what I mean? Like,
I discovered that in the
someday I might
beginner
not be
class.
able to.
There was some jump exercise, and I was like, I think I've lost my ability to jump. What is happening? Hey, it was kind of high. But I didn't realize that. I was like, what?
Those
in the
boxes
world?
are high.
How can I not do this? I realized I really needed to be exercising. Well, speaking of exercise, it's very important for lots of reasons we mentioned and plenty that we haven't, as far as osteoporosis and just general health, and thinking about new beginnings, thinking about exercise is a fabulous thing to do. I would also encourage people to, especially in the winter months, think about vitamin D. What do y'all think about vitamin D coming from California?
We miss it.
Yeah. Well, vitamin D it's an interesting supplement because it's one of the few vitamins that you can actually test for. You can find out if you're low or not. And it'll, like, if you're in the sun a lot in the summer, it'll kind of stay with you. It's not like as soon as it starts getting dark, now you're not getting your daily vitamin D. Some of that
your body
residual
has stores of it.
Yeah, it'll keep some of it. But it's something that, especially here where the days are really short and you might not even be getting outside during the day, it's something I think is worth taking.
Well, speaking of the new year, a lot of times doctors are encouraging patients to get just the physical, a checkup, but that is something you do have to request. So when you do a typical checkup, I don't think they check specifically for vitamins unless you ask.
The blood work.
Blood work, like if you're just doing a complete blood workup, just to kind of check, see how you are. I mean, I think thyroid is something maybe that's typically checked and other things, but I think you might have to ask for vitamin D. So that's a thought, because I don't remember the percentage, but it's pretty high that Americans are deficient.
Yeah, and I think it's safe
good
to assume you're probably low.
I know most people are, because we just are indoors more, and we wear a lot of sunscreen that doesn't allow I think it's UVB rays to do what they need to do to create vitamin D in your body. A lot of people are slathered in sunscreen or wearing long sleeve shirts and hats or whatever it is. We just get a lot less vitamin D naturally than we used to. And even if you are outside, I mean, I was in the South and was tested and still low.
Right. I was low in San Diego.
Yeah.
So
maybe ask your doctor if just taking a vitamin D every day would be beneficial and in what amount, because it really, really can help with energy levels as well, combined with exercise. If you're exercising but really low in a particular vitamin, it makes all the difference. If you're super low in iron or super low in vitamin D or something like that, it may be something that's very easy fix. Once that's on the right track, okay, well, now I really feel the benefits of the exercise. And we don't get vitamin D really in the wintertime. I don't think. I mean, I was looking that up because some people, I mean, there's still sunshine up here occasionally. And some people say that you're still getting a little bit if you go outside. But I don't know if this is, I'm sure there's lots of people that say different things. But I researched it a bit, and Harvard Health Publishing says that we do not get enough vitamin D in the winter months from the winter sun. It says, except during the summer months, the skin makes little, if any, vitamin D from the sun at latitudes above 37 degrees north or below 37 degrees south of the equator, which is basically cut the U.S. in half. It's definitely the southern part of the United States. So if you live above the southern parts of the United States, where we are, says the sun is lower and its UVB rays are weak. Winter sunlight does not have enough of the UVB component that is essential for vitamin D synthesis. And for all practical purposes, one cannot make vitamin D in cold climates in winter, which I did not know that. And
Weird.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I take vitamin D every day, and I feel like it has really made a difference. And when I've been tested, it's where it's supposed to be, which I hadn't been before. So
Yeah, and I think it's good to, just test things a little bit too, and see if you really feel like they are making a difference too. I started taking a little multivitamin pack a couple months ago, and I've noticed a big difference. One of the funny things, I play chess all the time. I'm better at chess than I've ever been in my life, since I don't know if it's just helping with some of the mental sharpness and some of the clarity. So for me, that's like, sometimes you take a vitamin, you're like, maybe it's probably good. It's probably working. I don't know. But it's good to have some measurables where you can
and it's good
see
to
some
assess,
difference.
am I getting enough vitamins through my food? And some people do a really great job of it. But if you're like, well, I'm really probably not getting enough of whatever it is, then a supplement might help.
Yeah.
So speaking of, or just to summarize, a lot of times we think it's selfish to do something for ourselves, especially in this modern culture when we hear about me, or, self-care and all that. Sometimes we react to that and we say, well, it's not about me. I always say that, actually. That's one of my phrases to my kids. It's not about you, or it's not about me. So we use that. That reaction is sometimes overkill. Obviously, we're not all about, it shouldn't be all about us. But to use that as an excuse to never do anything to take care of yourself or to take care of your health, it is an excuse. And in reality, if you're grouchy, tired, lack of energy, or you don't like how you look or how you feel, it does affect not just you, it affects your whole family and what you're able to do. And if you are able to do the job that God gave you, what did he put in front of you? What responsibility did he give you? Do you have the mental clarity? Do you have the strength to do it? And if you're dragging through your day, potentially think of making a change. You never sent your kids outside to run around and play. You would think to yourself, there's something wrong with that picture. If they're sitting on the couch or just sedentary a lot, you want your kids to go outside and play and have energy. And you think of that as healthy for your children, but you don't ever turn that. Didn't as a mom, turn that around and say, well, why aren't you outside doing something? Why aren't you outside running around with kids or making a point to play tennis? Or now Max gets me out on the pickleball court. But that summertime, he tried to drag me out when it really turned cold, and I'm brutal cold. And I just kept telling myself, be a good mom, go with them. So we went. I was miserable. We drove up. because it was just so cold. I was just pre-miserable thinking about how cold it's going to be. We drove up and all the nets are gone. I was like, score. We did still get out there and try to bat the ball back and forth, but it's just like, this isn't working. So we went back home and, I don't know, watched a good movie or something. Under blankets on the couch.
That's my favorite form of exercise.
Yes.
Watching a movie.
Let's take a quick break. Are you searching for hands-on activities to help your kids explore the practical side of science? Look no further than your kitchen. Inquisicook blends food science and culinary arts into an engaging program that puts delicious food on the family table. Let Inquisicook do the teaching with lesson videos, reliable recipes, and assessment tools that put students on track for success. Their online platform is easy to navigate and optimized for mobile, so the learning experience can move from the classroom to the kitchen without a hitch. Inquisicook turns curious students into intuitive cooks, not just recipe followers. Say goodbye to the tyranny of the ingredients list and say hello to utilizing what's in season, what's on sale, or what's in the fridge. Visit inquisicook.com to view sample lessons, then check out the recipe gallery to see just how crave-worthy science can be. So moving past the idea of strength in hospitality, let's talk a little bit more specifically about hospitality and how that looks in y'all's home. Y'all are very hospitable. You host quite a bit. I know for Thanksgiving you invited other families into your home that didn't have other families here in the community, and y'all just all got together and had a big Thanksgiving. What is something that you would serve for dinner to others coming into your home besides Thanksgiving turkey?
Probably one of my favorite things to serve is banh mi, or the Vietnamese sandwiches. They're fabulous. We used to go to this community group at our old church in San Diego, and somebody brought it once. I never even heard of it. And it's just basically marinated meat. The traditional way to do it is with pork belly, but I've never cooked pork belly. So I just use either steak, like flank steak, or even pulled pork. And you make pickled veggies, just like cucumbers and carrots, and you get a baguette and you put the meat on it, the pickled veggies and cilantro and hot sauce like sriracha, and it's the yummiest thing ever. It is actually really easy to make. And if you make a lot of it, you can serve a lot of people, but it's just one of the fun things that I like to do. I really like Asian American cooking. And that's one that we've been doing a lot.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
I've never had it though.
You have to come over.
Okay.
It's good.
And I will get her recipe and post it on comeoverfordinner.com so we can all see what ingredients are in this list. This sounds amazing.
It's fun.
So what do you serve with that? Is that kind of a standalone, or do you serve sides with it?
Well, it's funny. Whenever I eat sandwiches, I think chips. So we always do.
That's a very easy side. You don't have to make anything, and kids love chips.
That's usually like a fun thing when people ask what they can bring. It's a nice, easy thing that is not putting a lot on your guests. But it's fun with just potato chips. And the pickled veggies you can also eat on the side. I make a lot of pickled veggies when I do it, and different hot sauces. We usually do a salad. And I think that's it. Yeah. I usually don't make a lot of big sides to go with banh mi because it's a pretty
hearty sandwich.
Yeah.
What about dessert? Do you serve dessert?
I do. I'm not the best baker. I love baking, and we do a lot of cookies in my house, but usually when it comes time to have people over, I've forgotten about dessert. And so if one of my kids doesn't take it, because I have older girls and they like to bake. So sometimes they'll just be like, can I make dessert this weekend? And I'll have them do it. But usually we just always have box brownies. And I elevate it by putting in espresso powder, like a lot, like really 1 or 2 tablespoons. And
that reminds me of Anna Garten's brownies. I think she puts coffee in hers.
I tried to make hers before and it didn't turn out. That's what happens when I bake.
Try it again.
I've done it a couple times. I need to try it again. But my box brownies work too.
So do you make them exactly as the box says and just add the espresso powder? Okay.
Yeah.
Super good with when they're warm and then cold ice cream together.
Oh, that is so good.
It's great.
Yeah. So that's a really easy thing to throw together. And I bet your girls can do that too at the last minute.
Yeah, they usually do dessert.
Well, that's nice that you have. What are the age ranges of your kids? I forgot to mention that you do have children.
Yes. We have 4 girls and a boy. And our oldest is 14. And then we have a 12-year-old, 10-year-old. Our 8-year-old is our boy. And then a 6-year-old. And they're a lot of fun.
Yes. So what is a shortcut or time saver you might use when making these sandwiches? Can you do the meat ahead of time and just heat it up? Or is it real easy to just start that morning, like in a crock pot? Or how would you do it if you're having a crowd over and you want to get a jump start on it?
It's really easy to do. I actually usually do, because you have to marinate the meat. So I marinate it the day before. And then you can marinate it for over 24 hours. And then it's just grilling it. So that's all. And then I'd usually do the baguettes, I just buy them. I don't make baguettes.
That's a shortcut for sure. Just go to the store.
And the pickled veg you can make the day before.
And is that pretty easy?
Yeah, it's super easy. I love pickled veggies. I just cut up cucumbers and I use the already shredded carrots. That's a time saver. Or not matchstick.
Okay. When I think of pickled, I feel like you have to do it for a lot longer than the day before.
Oh, I do quick pickle. So it's like fridge pickle. And it's an Asian, you can just do vinegar, salt, and sugar. But the Asian one, I think I use, what is that Asian vinegar? Rice wine vinegar. It's a little bit sweeter. And I'll put in like a garlic clove and different Asian. I think I put sesame oil in it. I can't remember, but I'll look that up too because it's you have to have pickled veg in your repertoire.
Okay, I need to add this to my repertoire. I've been missing out all these years.
My youngest will devour them, and she's our pickiest eater probably, and she just doesn't eat anything. She loves pickled veggies,
and she's getting her veggies this way.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to add this to my Southern cooking repertoire. There might be some Southern cooks out there who are like, oh, I do this all the time. But I did not. So I definitely need these recipes. What is your best prep tip? Like if you're having people coming over, do you have a certain way you prepare, like shopping or cleaning? Or how do you prepare that you would say, hey, everybody, this works really well for me?
I just tell the kids to do everything. I'm just kidding.
The benefit of 5 children.
But it is, they do a lot. Like
they're
my
very
oldest,
helpful at that age.
They get excited too.
Yeah, they love it.
Yes, they're excited because friends are coming over.
My oldest loves to set the table. She just is a decorator. She loves to make everything pretty. And my second oldest loves to cook. She usually is my sous chef. Or she does the dessert usually. And the littler ones just do little jobs around the kitchen and cleaning, sweeping, and stuff like that. I think that's...
Yeah, it's fun to kind of give them ownership of one part of it because then they're going to do a better job than we would do if we were just trying to make it pretty nice. Where if their job is just to make the table kind of special, kind of nice. I mean, they're like making little origami, like... napkins and stuff, and they just want to make it. They just want to own it, and it's their kind of thing. So
that makes it really fun. Special because you can tell your guests that so and so's at the table, or because a lot of times they would ask who made these little origami name tags or whatever.
Right.
And so it's kind of a fun thing to be able to share that they did, but also it's really nice for the parents to kind of have their hands off of something. You're so busy with things, and just hot tip, parents. When you give your children a job, really truly have your hands off. It's not that you can't tweak a fork or something, but if you're micromanaging, it's not fun for the kids, I don't think.
Yeah.
If you give your kids the job of setting the table, but you're going behind them telling them all the mistakes they're making or how this doesn't match that, or it's not fun. Just let them do it.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't have to look like you would do it.
Right.
My son recently, we had company over and I needed him to set the table. I'm like, you just take care of it. And he's like, well, but which? I'm like, you just choose, just pick, you do whatever. And so I heard him from the hall closet. Should I pull out the white tablecloth? I'm like, do whatever you want. I think I'm going to do the red tablecloth. So I go in there later, and there's the red tablecloth with like this hot pink runner on the top. But somehow it worked. Somehow he pulled it off. It's like, it's not something I would have ever chosen.
But we're going to go with it.
But we're going to go with it. And it, by the time the plates were on and the cups were on, I was like, hey, I kind of like this. Anyway, I just felt like, the mistake would be right now to go and correct all the things that he just did. So anyway, I feel like that's also a tip.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Let the kids do it. It's going to look like a kid did it, and it's okay. Not that you can't tweak anything, but yeah. So what is your best advice for showing warm hospitality to those coming into your home? How do you make them feel at home and welcome when they walk in the door?
Well, I think we try to set the tone that it's informal, like kind of like they're just guess on how our normal dinner would be, where it's very, it's we want it to be kind of special. We're having company over, we're having people over, but at the same time, it's not like the way we do it. It's not a lot of pressure. It's pretty casual. Kind of let everybody kind of relax and we come in. I think that's kind of been our method. What do you think?
Yeah, it's very, very just kind of fun. And sometimes sometimes we do regular plates, sometimes we do paper plates, sometimes we have everybody just sit on the couch or wherever, and it's just we're just kind of hanging out.
Well, I think that you're more likely to do hospitality that way than if it's always an event. It always is something that has to be over the top and not how you would normally do it. Not that there's not a time and a place for that, say if you're doing a special Thanksgiving or whatever, or a Christmas party. But if you are wanting to do it regularly, if it's not just kind of a part of the normal flow, it's not going to happen.
Right.
On that note, what are some of the things that y'all do as far as inviting people over? When are the times that you invite people over?
I feel like we always do it on a Saturday.
Yeah, usually Saturdays. We try to have at least 2 families over. It's good, and if we can, it's nice to like, okay, they have kids. If the 2 families, they have kids around the same age, and try to. That's another thing to kind of help with people feeling comfortable. Their kids are with some of their friends too, potentially, and maybe meeting new people. Trying to bring other families, like the families we had over for Thanksgiving. They went to the same college. They didn't even know.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious.
What? That's really a fun moment.
Yeah. So I think it's fun connecting other people through our hospitality too. Like, oh yeah, I don't know if they know each other. These people, we should invite both of them. And
yeah. I feel like one thing that's fun to do is when we meet people that are new in town, we try to invite people that have been here a long time. I think that's because then they've met someone and have a contact now that can introduce them to other people.
There's not all strangers when they show up at church. They've actually eaten dinner with this person or met that person. Or yes, that's nice too when you're new, that you have had that smaller group fellowship where it's not just this overwhelming, I've met you once in passing, a quick introduction, but I don't remember anything about you or your name. But if you have a dinner with that person and you have stories together and you've met their kids and all of that, it really does mean a lot more, and you get to know that person a lot better. So that's a great idea. Speaking of, okay, this is not really a in your home type deal, but y'all have had a picnic or you've had a cookout before for the gym. What is that?
Yeah, so maybe a couple times a year. So another thing we do a lot when we have people over is tri-tip steak, which is great for a lot of people because it's really good. You can get a good deal on a lot of steak.
Where do you buy it? Costco?
I get it at Costco because you can get prime cuts of tri-tip at Costco, and the cut makes a big difference. If you have that prime cut, it's super good, super tender.
A lot more tender.
And I mean, it's not that hard. A lot of people get really like grill masters or smoking it like all day. I just do a lot of salt and pepper, 15 minutes per side, and I'll for like the gym cookout, I'll put like 4 of them on there or 5, and it'll feed like 50 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
and you just do it on a regular grill?
Regular gas grill.
So the common person could do this. We could recreate it and not have to have a real fancy green egg or something.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, we do that maybe twice a year, and just kind of just for the members, for the people at the gym, their families, just to kind of, because what happens at the gym is like you have the morning class. They never meet anybody that goes typically to the afternoon one. So it's going to be like, oh, I always see your name on the board and on the thing. Never met you. And just another way to kind of bring people together.
What do you serve besides meat? I mean, I know that's all that's required for a lot of guys, just hand me some protein, but what do you serve on the side?
So the gym is full of some amazing cooks. And, and so we do a potluck style, and people have brought some amazing dishes. So really, we just provide the meat, and then everybody else is just bringing their favorite recipe.
That's actually a fabulous idea, even in the home environment. I mean, that's how we did it in the South in the summer. A lot of times. I mean, sometimes we did the whole meal, but yeah, if you're having an outdoor grill or cookout or something, maybe the host would do, like you're saying, the tri-tip, and then people are just coming with all their favorite sides, and it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
and it's fun to try what everybody else brings. Some of their favorite dishes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That it's funny when our kids were little, we started this tradition. Saturday night was steak night, and Pat would always get a really good cut of steak. And every Saturday we did that. And then we started having people from church over, and it was just like the funnest thing to have this really fancy dinner that really wasn't breaking the bank. And it was so delicious. And I just,
It was a fun tradition.
it was really fun
I
tradition.
hope my kids
We
are
don't do
not
it as
listening
much.
to this.
And it was funny because growing up, I hated steak because my parents, we bought, of course,
The cheap, hard,
and so
tough, you can't chew.
I thought steak was terrible.
Yeah, right. And you have to know how to cook it. You can't cook it to death. I always, if I ever had steak as a child, it was overcooked.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
very tough and zero red in the middle. I mean, you had to cook it was the days of salmonella or whatever, where everybody had to re-kill the chicken and re-kill the pig and anything. It was like
Yeah.
they just overcooked everything. So my kids growing up, I mean, my boys loved steak. And so, but they got it for their birthday. So if they hear every Saturday, they're like, Mom, you should have shopped the sales more.
Well, we had the commissary, the military grocery store. I think that's how we were able to do it.
That's fun.
Yeah.
But tri-tip is pretty affordable too,
Yeah,
though.
that's
It is.
true.
It is a good.
Well, and yes,
it's not like ribeyes or
you can shop the
T-bones.
big wholesale clubs like Sam's Club or Costco, or look for local sales in grocery stores. A lot of times, yes, if you're shopping the sales, you can afford something.
Yeah. Yeah. We started doing. We were like, we should just make a bunch and just kind of cut it up and have it in the fridge, and like let the kids kind of snack on it as they're hungry a little bit.
It never lasts.
Yeah, it would be like the next day it's all gone.
It's gone. Everyone had a midnight craving.
Right.
Like, hey, that would not have worked at my house.
Yeah.
They would have never stopped eating it until it was gone.
Yeah, we keep trying. We're like, we'll get more steak, and it always.
Especially as they're
Immediately.
growing,
Eat it all.
they're growing into those teenage years. It'll really keep ramping up. What is your must-have kitchen item, and where can we find it?
Well, it's very easy to find. I use my shears
Okay.
constantly. I just think that is probably next to my chef's knife the most used kitchen utensil. I, snip the green onions. I don't have a pizza cutter. I just
You just
cut
cut
it.
the pizza.
Yeah, and everything, just anything that can be cut, just about, I use my kitchen shears. And it's nice to cut stuff straight into the pan, or when my little cilantro jar, just cut off my cilantro. So that's probably my favorite.
Do you have a
kitchen
certain
tool.
brand that you think is just fabulous, better than others, or would you say anything?
Well, I had a really cheap Walmart one years ago that I broke really quickly. So yeah, I would say probably KitchenAid. I know works really well, and I can't remember. I thought I wrote it down. The name of the brand that I have right now. It's a really weird German name. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Like it's probably not Wusthof.
It might be Wusthof.
Is it? I mean, sometimes you can buy those knife blocks that have
Yes.
all the different knives in there.
Yes, that's what it is.
Scissors or
I
kitchen
think
shears
so.
in the
Yeah.
middle.
You bought it for me.
So it may be Wusthof.
I
And
think
that's a
it
very
is.
high rated brand.
Yeah, because we've had it for years. Yeah.
Mhm. Which is a good tip, because sometimes if you think, oh, it's a lot of money up front, but it'll last a lot longer than you buying something cheap, not being happy with it and having to replace it 3 times because it's broken 3 times and you really didn't like how it operated the entire time you owned it anyway. So
Yeah.
It's more of a joy to use it.
yes, maybe
higher
invest in the
quality.
higher quality.
Like gym
Have
equipment.
joy while you cook. Yes, exactly, like gym equipment. Don't go for super, super cheap that's going to break. Speaking of, that happened to my husband one time with those resistance bands. He pulled and something snapped.
Oh no.
I'm just wondering if you bought the off-brand.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Save money. Well,
Pat always tells me get what you pay for, because I'm one that'll buy the cheap thing first and regret it later.
yes. And then it's just garbage. You wasted that money when you could have put it towards something else. Yes, I've gotten that way in my older years as I've become wiser. I much more readily invest in something, save money and invest in something of quality versus buying the cheap.
Yeah, we
store
did
brand.
just do a full kitchen remodel too. It just got finished up. So we've been a little out of practice for a little while the construction was going on. But that was that was I think a hindrance to our hosting for a little while. Our previous kitchen, it was an 80s house. They never upgraded anything, and it was all it was kind of strange the way. I don't think they ever cooked or did anything in the kitchen, so it was not really working for what we needed. But we're like, this is important. We should have a nice kitchen. We like to host. We like to be in the kitchen a lot. So
I also broke the stove.
Is this what led to the kitchen remodel?
It wasn't on purpose.
It was due to break out.
I was hitting grated cheese on it, because it was frozen, trying to break it up.
Was it a glass
It was a glass
top? Yes.
cooktop.
Oh, no.
So it was being dumb.
falling apart.
It was dumb. But
But it sped up the kitchen remodel.
Well, it's definitely time now.
We really can't cook on a broken glass stovetop. Do you have a funny story or a horror story from all your years of hosting and having people into your home?
Well, I have one that's from family hospitality. So there's this Christmas tradition that we have. Every year I make braised short ribs, and it's super fabulous. It's one of the most, I only make it on Christmas. It's one of the most time-consuming recipes. You use fresh tomatoes, and you brown the meat before you cook it. And usually when I see that step, I skip it. And it's a labor of love. It takes all day. After we're done opening all the gifts on Christmas, I'll go in and get to work on it. And I would say the first time that I did it for Christmas, I spent all day in the kitchen making this beautiful braised short ribs. And it was just our two oldest when they were really little. And I served it for Christmas dinner in a Tupperware dish. and we sat down to eat, and Pat was like, "So this is Christmas dinner."
It doesn't look like what it should be.
It was paper plates, and it was pretty bad.
After all that effort, yes, if you just put it on a platter, it probably would have looked like Christmas dinner.
It was pretty good. And it was funny. The next gift he ever gave me was a set of serving bowls. And every year at Christmas, our table is dressed to the nines with this gorgeous serving bowl and our
Instead of the
short
Tupperware
ribs.
serving bowl.
Yeah, I think and it was delicious and great, and everything was good. But there's something to kind of you sit down and everything is kind of in its place. Everything is beautiful, and you have the nice serving bowls. And I think
There's something to presentation.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think that was a moment we transitioned.
Yeah. It helped me to realize like my hospitality to my kids was wanting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you have to think through that, even if it's just our family, we can still put out our best.
Yeah.
Especially at times like Easter or Christmas or whatever. We want to elevate it and make it a celebration, not just paper plates and Tupperware bowls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that takes time and growth, especially when you're a young new mom or something like that, and you're just like, it's all I can do, just get the food on the table.
Just eat.
Just eat. You're fed. You're not starving.
Yeah.
And then it takes owning those things too. So it takes a conscientious, kind husband to, present or to gift beautiful platters as well. So
Yeah.
That's a great story.
I think it's good, and it's been good to make our nightly family dinner. It's not always like super special or all the serving platters come out, but just to make it like, we try to do dinner all together as a family every night and try to make it a thing.
Yeah.
I think it's been good.
Where everybody looks forward to sitting around the table together. They know that that's a consistent habit that at the end of the day, they're going to be able to get together with all their siblings and mom and dad. And I think that's just, it's always important, but especially as they move into those teenage years, I think that's such an important time to tell stories and ask questions and tell something that happened at school, or what do you think about this? Or so-and-so said this, or I felt this way, or whatever it is. I think that's such a good time for kids to be able to be there with siblings, hearing their input, and mom and dad as well. So it's a great habit.
Good staple. Yeah. I had a funny story too. This wasn't us hosting, but I'll never forget it. This is back in Ohio. We're having like big Thanksgiving feast at my aunt's house. All the family is there. We're all sitting down, beautiful, huge table, and we're all like getting ready to eat. And my aunt has this like property behind, like a little hill going up, big window. and they have this huge like German Shepherd that kind of runs the property, and he'd caught some like animal, like a woodchuck or something, and he's right by the window. We're all getting ready to eat, and he's just ripping this thing apart. Like people are screaming, just like, oh, kids. It's so funny. Yeah. I'll never forget that. Yeah.
That's pretty memorable.
All the boys are laughing, of course.
And right as you're about to start eating.
Yeah.
God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. And it wasn't her planned hospitality.
No.
She was probably a bit horrified.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been very fun to have both of you in here.
Yes,
and
thanks
thank you
for having us.
sharing your tips on hospitality, as well as what we started off with, just thinking about new beginnings, resolutions in your life that would lead to the ability to do better, more energized hospitality for your family and for others.
Mm-hmm.
Until next time, bye for now. If energy and strength are some of your New Year's resolutions, Mission Strength is offering a free 30-day trial to my listeners. So if you live in Moscow, try it out and see if the structure and accountability of a class works for you.